Welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be replacing the fuel pump hanger in the S13 with a Deatschwerks X1 Fuel Hanger. Reason being is because it's the factory fuel hanger, and a couple of years ago I got these dash fittings brazed onto them, and then inside someone's actually cut the stalk that the feed line goes onto for the fuel pump, so it doesn't have any flared ends, whatever you want to call it. So when the fuel comes up through the pump into the line that comes into the feed, it passes out past the parts on the hose that aren't flared, hits the bottom of the fuel hat and leaks out of here, even with basically a new O-ring. So and I want to push a little bit of power through this thing, so if it's doing that idling, it probably won't last on the dyno, and I don't want it to not make it to the dyno. So spin this around. So this is what we're putting in. I believe this is just a fuel hanger, and I believe it doesn't come with a fuel pump. It's a nice billet top hat and underneath hanger section. So we can, the good thing about this pump, this hanger I should say, is we can swap our fuel level or fuel float over. So we can still get our factory fuel to read. Now let's pop a Deatschwerks digger, pop everything out of this box just to make sure this is all that comes with it. And there's the install kits, all the rubbers and hoses and bits and pieces. Oh, there's a stray bolt. I don't know where that's made it from. But anyways, I'm glad I took that out. Take the hardware out of here, and that's everything. So I've got a Raceworks 340 litre per hour pump in the car at the moment, so we'll just transplant that over along with the fuel hanger, sorry, the fuel float, fuel level float, and go from there. These are dash 6 fittings in the top, and I'll probably have to change the ends of the hoses to 90s, because they're currently sort of 120s or 110s at the moment. They go up and around, so yeah, I'll quickly buzz this off, take it all off and pull the hanger out, and we'll go from there. Now, if you're going to do this in a car that's got everything working, or it's factory and it doesn't have dash fittings and stuff like that, disconnect your battery, take out your fuel pump relay, something like that. Make sure the keys are in the ignition. You don't want anything to spark while you've got, you're working on your fuel tank. It's just a big flammable bomb basically. So I've done all that already. So just go ahead and do all that if you haven't already. And then in an S13, that's sitting there generally. 4 bolts and the wiring comes out. You can pull the harness through, and then you've got access to the top hat. Now these are, I think, 3mm or 2mm Allen key heads. There's, I think, 6 of them on the top of this hat. Doesn't take long. Take all of those out. Once you've disconnected the lines, whether they're push-on rubber lines or dash lines like mine, and you just lift it out very gently, very easily. Just don't want to knock the fuel level float too much. You might break it. They're pretty delicate. So I'll set the camera up. I'll show you. I'll time lapse it, I guess. Pretty easy to do. Cool. So that was relatively straightforward. Now that I've got it out, I just let it sit there for a second to drain off any fuel. And then I'm just going to walk it over to the box that the rest of the stuff came with, and we can just see the difference. Obviously that's nice and billet aluminium, some stainless steel, and this is OE stuff. So that's where my problem lies, right there. That's where we tried to make it work, because obviously before, when I got this car, it wasn't pushing much over 300 and it was fine. Didn't have any issues. As soon as we wanted to push it, put a bigger pump in it and bigger injectors, and it just started shooting up past there. So on a normal factory one, the line comes all the way down here, the hard line, and it's got flared ends right there. So it's just a little bit of a joiner, but unfortunately, yeah, this one's been modified once upon a time, and I tried to save it, but it's just time to bite the bullet and go something nicer. So what we're going to do now is get rid of all that. I'll probably just, I've got a wiring harness coming from Wiring Specialties, but I might just cut this off here and save this in case I need it. Don't think I will, but may as well keep it just in case. And then I'll take this pump off because it works fine. Cut the pump off, it's just held on with a zip tie. And then I will, pretty sure it's one screw there, and then this whole piece slides up and out. That's the actual sensor that goes up and down, the float sensor. That'll tell you if your tank's full or empty. And then this here, I believe, is a little light that shines to the bottom of the tank when it gets really low, I believe, but I could be wrong. Anyways, let's quickly take all that stuff off, and so I can put this old one, either probably just going to go in the bin or put it on Facebook for 50 bucks in case someone needs it, and we'll slowly transfer everything over. Alright, so we've got everything on for the fuel level, which is, see if I can get a better angle. That's it there, all bolted up. That one bolt there was pretty finicky, it just slowly touches it. And that little bolt that I lost at the beginning of the video on the box, well, that wasn't actually attached, was one of these. So there's 4 bolts holding this bracket to the top hat, and they were all loose, and one of them had fallen out. Now that I look at it, there's basically one of the bolt holes is almost broken through the top hat. So I gave them all a tighten and put that bolt back in, and now they're all snug. They were all very, very loose. So maybe just check that when you get yours in. Now what we're going to do is put the bulkhead fittings on. So these are -6, and they sit inside the top hat here. And my fuel line's -8, so I'll just adapt it up. But we'll get these in first. Now, don't do it like me. I almost put it in wrong. Make sure you put they come with some O-rings. Thread the O-ring all the way down onto the base, and then once you've got it, thread it on. Just screw it all the way in. You'll get like a dead spot. Just be careful not to thread it, and then start again. And then twist it right round to the way you want. So I sort of want it facing back that way. I might just do a quick mock-up in the tank to make sure I get it the right way I want, and then yeah, we can basically put the bulkhead nuts on the bottom and then keep moving forward with it. So I've got the pump in there, use the soft hose and the 2 clamps to hook up the feed line. Obviously on the top of the hanger it says feed, so straight to the top of the pump, and then I've got the return line, which is a hard piece of plastic. Crimped it and then just zip tied it down the side here just to shoot down. I tried to keep it away from shooting into where it's picking up fuel, so down's the next best thing. Better would be to you turn it away to sort of, I don't know, I guess help disrupt any flow. Now what we're doing is I'll strip back the negative and the positive for the pump, and then the light wire and the fuel float wire, because in the kit it gives us some ring terminals, and I'll just essentially crimp them onto here, and then correspond, you've got light, pump negative, level, and then pump positive, and then a ground from the surface. So that's outside of the tank. These 4 are inside. So I'll go through and throw some ring terminals on them, hook them up, and then we're pretty much good to drop this straight back in. So that's it. Got the fittings crimped on and run to the corresponding terminals. I was lucky that the fuel level and the fuel light were long enough, along with the positive and the negative for the pump. They were just long enough. The fuel level, I could, you know, there's enough space. It's not touching anything. It's not rubbing against anything. So you might come into the, you know, yours might be just slightly too short. Just throw an extra couple of centimeters on it with a bit of solder and another bit of wire. But that's pretty much it. So pump, feed, 2 fittings, return, zip tied down, shoot down the bottom, and fitting at the top. Fuel level, I'm dripping fuel everywhere. Fuel float, the light at the bottom, And then on the bottom here, you've got the fuel light, negative for the pump, fuel level, and the positive for the pump. And that's all at the top. So I'll quickly swap over the Dash 6 to Dash 8's fittings from my old fuel hanger, and then I'll drop this back in the car. I just checked my O-ring. It's brand new, so it's definitely fine. I've got my adapters put on there. They look a bit crazy, but they are perfectly fine. Now it's just a matter of dropping it back in and putting all the hardware back together. So slide this back in here like this. Sometimes you get it first try, sometimes it takes a couple of goes, but it's fine. Like that, we are sorted. So dropping these new bolts. So that's in there, and it looks a hell of a lot better than the old one. And once I swap out, I probably should have mentioned this at the start of the video, mark your feed line before you take them off. There's my feed line, so that'll go onto this one here, which says feed. But I'll swap these fittings out for just straights, pop them straight on, and then I might even be able to use the cover, which can seal this off, which I couldn't use before with the other thing. So pretty straightforward. Yeah, like I say in every other video, you don't need a good, you don't need a mechanical engineering degree to do any of this stuff. It's been made easy by companies like Deatschwerks and GK Tech and the likes. So anyone can do basic upgrades to their car and come out pretty well with it. So yeah, that should hopefully sort all my issues with fueling, make it a bit more fail-safe. I shouldn't have any leaks. Yeah. I need to actively stop saying in my videos too. It's driving me mental when I'm editing, so apologies, I'll work on that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.